very much, Mark. Thank you for your very rousing speech. Come on, we can all do it. But particularly some of your words, cognitive dissonance, the disconnect, but also removing the social license to operate of the fossil fuel companies. Very, very important. And I think what we're about, it's a movement. And as Mark said, it is one of the fastest growing social movements in history. So it's very exciting to be together with everyone. We now have the agendas and also everyone's bios. So I'm sorry that I sort of slightly goofed up your introduction. So we will be handing those around. Luckily, I know who my boss is. Rev Fletcher Harper, the Executive Director of GreenFaith. Fletcher's amazing, so I will pass you over to Fletcher.
Thank you. I should have you come to churches with me on Sunday for that kind of introduction. That would be wonderful. Good afternoon, everyone, and it is a real pleasure to be here today to talk about a subject that we believe has the transformative capacity to create change that is so desperately needed. And I want to say a word of thanks to our partners in the foundation side of the aisle. I think that to be able to work collaboratively across sectors is what we all need to be doing. We need to find ways to work together. Alone, we are not big enough to solve this problem. Together, we are more than big enough to solve it with a resounding level of success. My job is to talk for just a very few minutes about what it is that faiths bring to this movement, to the Divest Invest movement. And I'd like to offer just a couple of very brief thoughts about that. The first thing with which faiths bring is so fundamental that it seems almost unnecessary to mention. But that makes it all the more so important. What faiths bring is the undeniable conviction that this earth and our life upon it is a gift. At a time when the values of the world are so powerfully dominated by corporate interests, which view the natural world and people to a very large degree as commodities, to use Martin Buber's phraseology, as an it rather than as a thou. At times when the other powerful sector of society functions politically, the faiths and many parts of culture arrive on the scene and announce with conviction that that is an inadequate way of understanding the nature of life on Earth and of the Earth itself and the ecosystems that support life. This earth is a gift. It is a gift that engenders gratitude and appreciation, and it is out of that gratitude and appreciation that our morals and our ethics emerge. And that's the second piece that faith communities bring to the table. Collectively, very simply, their contribution is to say that our societies and the rules by which they function must support life. The ways in which we use the resources entrusted into our care, the things that we own, because religions also offer this wonderful gift that ultimately, perhaps ownership as humanly conceived is not the final word. But there is this sense that emerges collectively from the faiths, that what we are responsible for controlling or managing or stewarding must be done so, to use Mark's terms, in a value-consistent way. Over the last several years, that logic has come into play powerfully in relationship to the fossil fuel divestment movement. Thanks to research by Mark and wonderful writing by Bill McKibben and many others, the question has now been put to all of us in an inescapable way. Is it morally acceptable to profit from an industry, from a series of companies whose core business, not something peripheral to the way that they function, but whose core business destroys life on an absolutely titanic scale? The clarity of the question is simple, Its logic is inescapable. We all must answer. And what the divestment movement has done was to pose that question when at first it seemed laughable or inconceivable, when it seemed like more of a Buddhist koan than a statement of actual fact. And that koan has gone to work. So that first we had students raising this question and being met with derision and patronizing impatience by university administrators. Then we had a small number of dogged faith and student leaders who, like terriers that had grabbed onto the hem of a skirt, wouldn't let go, kept on digging in, and found ways to get their institutions to commit to divest. The Church of Sweden, the United Church of Christ, the Unitarian Universalist Association, the Church of England, the Episcopal Church, the University of Dayton, a Marianist institution, the World Council of Churches, Union Theological Seminary. This movement began after a very short period of time to resemble a remarkable jazz ensemble with different faith groups from around the world standing up and playing their solos, making clear the ethical and moral reasons for which they were committed to make these changes. The moral logic and the moral momentum behind this movement now has reached a true tipping point. We'll hear later from Tomas Insua about remarkable progress made recently within the Catholic community. We'll hear, someone tells me, about some exciting news from the Islamic community as well. This change is underway, and it will not stop, and its roots are now growing deeper and deeper within the world's faith communities. And so I'd like now to turn the lectern